So to me, one of the opportunities here, scientists do a great job of answering questions. And sometimes, and scientists choose those questions based on some sort of philosophical or moral guidance as to what constitutes an important question to be asking. And a lot of times I think that it's not so much that that religion provides an alternative means of seeing, but rather that religion or any sort of moral or philosophical structure can provide an opportunity to figure out what questions need to be asked. A good scientist doesn't only stick to their microscopes and beakers, right? A good scientist figures out how to measure the things that need to be measured, whether that comes from tools that we already have available or whether that requires developing new tools. Now, it's certainly easier for the scientific community to work with the tools that are already available and to narrow the questions that are being asked based on what's available. But I think that, again, moral and philosophical components force people, whether they be scientists, whether they classify themselves as scientists or not. I think we're all, in some sense, scientists looking at the world. But it gives us an opportunity to force us to ask other questions that we might not otherwise ask.
Owen. A story that comes to mind about the connection comes out of my own life. For a long time, we've been dealing in Chester County, Pennsylvania, with trying to save the cold water streams. And because I got into it because I'm a trout fisherman and I love cold water, and we have some wonderful streams there. But the science comes in to try to, as we understood, that the primary thing threatening the streams that in the eastern part of the county is development. It's paving the watershed. It's roads, roofs, and parking lots. And in our prime stream, Valley Creek, which goes through Valley Forge National Park, it's over 25% paved at this point. And as all the stormwater runs off, anything that's on a parking lot or a roof gets into the water, and it also heats the water. And the knowledge is important because we could have thought it's contamination of various substances, but the stormwater is the biggest issue. Now that, as I've struggled with it, led me to deeper appreciation for, what St. Paul says about the importance of faith, hope, and love. These endure. I constantly struggle with a sense of despair when I see how deep something like this and how difficult it is to change it. No, almost all of the institutional forces move in the direction of more development, more houses, expanding my house because I need to show I'm somebody. And as all this happens, you have more pavement. And how would you change a system like this? Well, the scripture teaches that we worship a God who is the creator of heaven and earth. Everything is in God's control. And that's what Jesus teaches, that we can believe that miracles will happen every day. So you need faith to believe that if you do the little things you can, which seem to be so unimportant, that it will make a difference. So faith, hope come in. And the other thing is you need to respect and care for the people who make you so mad that you'd like to spit. Okay? And I think all of these are important because they're no different than we are. They're people just like us. So I think the faith gives the ability to deal with the knowledge, which is absolutely necessary if we're going to be able to move forward. And then something new comes out.
Go ahead. Fred, and then President, go ahead.
Okay, so I think that science is teaching us about the physical reality, that we have an Earth system, and we are within a certain constraints within this Earth system, that there's a certain amount of carbon that can be put in the atmosphere, whether it's 300 parts per million or 350, that would enable humans to live in a habitable planet. And that there's other aspects of the physical reality that we need to live in balance with, whether it's how much, what goes into the stream or what goes into the air, etc. I think that a significant contribution of faith is is teaching us about the metaphysical reality and connecting to the transcendent space, and that the environmental crisis is not a crisis of the environment. It's a crisis of the human being and how we live, in my view, as spiritual beings in a physical reality. And therefore, what I think that faith can teach is what are the spiritual changes that we need to make in order to deal with the physical symptoms that we're dealing with. And so that if we look at the spiritual roots, then that will really help us to find a way forward.